What's up? Plitty Sports Gamer here. And does anyone feel bad for Carson Wentz? Does anyone? I don't think so. I don't think anybody feels bad for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is the tale of a quarterback that had so much promise to one that tailspinned so rapidly. Probably the biggest story of hero to GOAT for a quarterback in recent memory. Let's start with his college career at North Dakota State. He won 4 national championships there. He was 50-5 as a starter, and he was 2-time National Player of the Year. That was quite a college accomplishment for Wentz. This caused the Eagles to pull a 49ers and give a boatload of picks to get up to the number 2 pick in the draft to draft Carson Wentz behind Jared Goff. In that year, the Eagles had Sam Bradford and Chase Daniel, and Carson Wentz was actually number 3. And the Eagles were so enamored by Wentz, the Vikings called and asked if they could get Bradford off him, and they obliged. And Vikings sent them a couple of picks, and that's when Carson Wentz started. This was Doug Peterson's first year as coach. And he had a pretty good year, but not like the year after. He was gunning to be the NFL MVP. The Philadelphia was running on all cylinders. As you can see from highlights from here, he was doing everything, scrambling, passing, getting it done, until 1 week against the Rams, he tore his ACL. And that was it for the season. Then Nick Foles stepped in and won the championship for Philadelphia that year. And then next year, he was having a decent year also. Then again, an injury struck, his back injury, and then Foles took over and won a playoff start and should have won the next one, but they didn't win against the Saints. This started a rapid tailspin for Wentz. Every year since has been worse and worse for Wentz. His last year in Philly was an abysmal year, and they traded him to the Colts. Mainly because Frank Reich went to management and says, we need to get Wentz. He loved Wentz, and he bet everything that Wentz could lead him to the playoffs. And that's the thing about Wentz. It seems like he chokes in the biggest moments in football. And I don't think anyone feels bad for Wentz because it seems like he's not a good locker room presence. Doesn't seem like he's a team player. His teammates don't respect him. This happened with the Colts where they embarrassed themselves because they had a win or a go home scenario against the worst team in the league, Jacksonville, and Wentz had one of his utterly horrible outings, and they lost to Jacksonville and booted them out of the playoffs, causing Frank Reich to go up to management, go up to the owner and apologize for bringing Wentz on. Then they traded Wentz to Washington, where in Washington, he started off well the first 2 games. Then, of course, Wentz being Wentz started his tailspin, and of course, he gets injured out 6 weeks, and Heineke takes over and does well right off the bat. Heineke was winning games for Washington. He was showing grit and determination that Wentz was not showing. But he had a couple of bad outings, and this made Ron Rivera think that he should start Wentz. Again, a make-or-break game that actually Ron Rivera didn't know was make-or-break. Stupid him. And I can't believe Ron Rivera is still in Washington. We could look at my other videos on that. But he started Wentz over Heineke, who everyone loved, teammates loved, because he was showing grit and determination. He would do anything to win, which is the opposite of Wentz, it seemed like. And Wentz started against Cleveland and is another epic, horrible game, and Washington lost, and they were done from the playoffs. So now Washington released him. And there are articles out, who's going to sign Wentz? Will he be a starter again? Or will he put his ego aside and sign as a backup, which I think he will do. There are a couple of teams where he might start, but most likely he's going to be a backup because from what teams have seen in his past, that he chokes on the big games. He's not a team player. The problem with Wentz, it seems like he doesn't throw the ball away. He tries to force it downfield too many times, and it doesn't work. Just ask Baker Mayfield on that. It just does not work. And it seemed like after he tore his knee, he lost confidence in himself, especially with that back injury the next year. He's totally lost it, and his career went downhill from there. And you would think that teams would see him. He's still 30 years old. He's still relatively young for a quarterback, that they would snap him up. He's had success before, but that was like 6 years ago. But he's had success. So teams would probably snap him up, right? But I don't think so. With his attitude and his propensity to fail on the biggest of stages, I don't think teams will be clamoring to sign him. There are teams out there that could possibly sign him as a starter. One is Tampa. They're in cap hell right now, and they need to sign someone very cheap. They have no quarterback, and the bigger name quarterbacks out there in free agent are going to want too much money. So they could possibly sign Wentz to a small deal, maybe an incentive-based deal to be their starter. Another team is Carolina Panthers because of Frank Reich. But that I don't think is a possibility because Frank Reich was burned by Wentz before, and he apologized to the owner about Wentz. Wentz probably didn't like that, but he apologized to the owner. So I don't think Frank Reich will go down that road again to sign Wentz to be the starter for Carolina. Those are the two big teams that will sign him for a starter. There's one suggestion, maybe Miami, because Tua is getting hurt too much, and one more concussion might end his career. So Miami could sign him to back up Tua and to be their starter if Tua gets another concussion. And he'll be a viable starter other than what they had last year. So Miami could be an option. Houston could be an option, but I don't think DeMeco Ryans would sign a person like Carson Wentz. There's also a crazy rumor about the 49ers signing him as a backup, which I hope does not happen. The 49ers better not sign him. I don't want Carson Wentz. He's not going to lead them to the promised land. That team is too talented to have a quarterback like Carson Wentz in case Lance or Purdy get hurt again. But I would have to admit that he's an upgrade over Josh Johnson. What do you guys think? Which team do you think is going to sign Carson Wentz? Or is he done from the NFL forever? I don't think he's done with the NFL. Tampa could be the only possibility for him to be the starter. But I really think he's going to hang on and maybe sign as a backup, hoping he could have one more shot as a starter. Please let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe, like, thanks, see ya.